Okay. So thanks, Oliver, for inviting us to this great opportunity to discuss the ENVISAGE program and how empowering it can be for families.
To start, I'll introduce myself. My name is Colleen Tompkins. I'm the National Project Manager for ENVISAGE Families in Australia, and I'm presenting today from the Wathaurong land in Victoria. My most important role is being a parent of an amazing 7-year-old girl named Harper, who you'll hear a little bit more about later on today.
And my name's Kerry Britt. I'm the ENVISAGE State Project Administrator for Victoria and Tasmania, and my background's in physiotherapy, and I've been working with children and families for over 25 years now. I'm also currently undertaking my PhD as part of the ENVISAGE Service Providers Program that we will touch on a little bit later. So in today's presentation, we'll introduce you to the ENVISAGE Families program, and we'll provide just a brief background to ENVISAGE, including the aims, the process of development, and the components of the ENVISAGE program. We'll also talk about the impact of ENVISAGE Families as reported by parents and caregivers who have participated in the program. And we'll also outline how parents and caregivers can access the program in Australia. We'll also share our experiences, and most importantly, Colleen is going to talk a little bit about her personal journey with ENVISAGE Families.
Thank you, Kerry. So to get started with my personal journey, it all started back in 2018 when my little girl was 1 year old. We were at one of her early intervention therapy sessions, and her physiotherapist recommended to me to do this program for parents called ENVISAGE. Initially, I was filled with self-doubt. Why did I need a parenting program? Wasn't I doing a good job as a parent? I was just concerned that I was being judged. But I decided to keep an open mind and see what the program was all about. So here I am in this photo with Harper, my little pocket rocket. She started life earlier than most, arriving 13 weeks early. Our family is made up of 3, Harper there in the middle, my husband Neil, and myself. Harper is very popular at school and has many friends. We also stay in touch with many friends from daycare and kindergarten that she didn't go to school with because they went to other schools, but still invites them to all the birthday parties. She's always on the go. She has such determination and she tries anything. She's focused on keeping fit by doing lots of sporting activities, including circus arts, such as the trapeze and the silks. And you can see in the photo here, she's hanging off a lyra bar, but she's also into soccer, swimming, basketball, Auskick, just to name a few. For fun, Harper enjoys drawing, writing stories, playing cards, and playing board games. In many of her activities, she sometimes needs adaptations to make the function easier for her to participate, which includes specialised holders or doing the activity within her ability. We see a future for her in the performing arts, a professional sportswoman, a career in health. She has a big heart and cares deeply for people. Here in this photo, she's playing soccer. She idolises her older cousins who also play soccer for the same team. She, I think, wants to go play for the Paramatildas one day. Looking back now, there is no doubt I was under a lot of stress in the early years of Harper's life, putting myself under pressure as I tried to live up to the expectations set by doctors when Harper was diagnosed with a brain hemorrhage. She was 6 weeks old, and we were told she would likely to have cerebral palsy and she might not be able to walk. They emphasised the need for early intervention therapy to retrain her brain in the hope that one day she might be able to walk. So being responsive to all that advice from the medical teams, I immersed myself in doing as much therapy as possible, managing appointments with GPs, paediatricians, maternal health nurse, physiotherapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, the list goes on, which I'm sure everyone listening today, it has a very similar list that all the appointments that you attend as well. But for me as a mum, play was no longer just play. It was hidden therapy. I judged every one of her movements, focusing on what she couldn't do. I analysed the way she stood, the way she held something, the way she communicated, and I was always correcting what she was doing. It was consuming and exhausting, and it strained my relationships and my social and emotional well-being. I realised how stressed I was, juggling numerous appointments, trying to return to work, and preparing for her first NDIS plan. On top of all of that, we also had multiple hospital admissions, and only 6 weeks after returning to work, I was let go from my job because I had to leave early one day because I received a call to say Harper was admitted to ICU. I was told at the time that they couldn't keep me on due to the health and well-being of my child. At that point, life felt completely out of control. I believed my career was over and that I could never work as a project manager ever again, which was not how I had envisaged my future. But Envisage was a turning point. It gave me permission to regain control of our lives and change the way I viewed my daughter's disability. I stopped telling everyone that she was disabled and just focused on her strengths and what she could do instead. Envisage brought together parents raising children with disabilities from all over Australia through an online platform over 5 weekly sessions. This was the first time I met other parents in similar situations. I never felt like I fitted in at mothers' groups, so it was a breath of fresh air to find others who understood my situation. Describing Envisage is difficult because it offers so much variety and made me think about things differently.
So, ENVISAGE stands for Enabling Visions and Growing Expectations, and the program is a co-designed, evidence-based peer support program for parents and caregivers raising children with developmental concerns or disability, including cerebral palsy. It involves, as Colleen mentioned, a series of 5 interactive workshops for caregivers in the early stages of parenting their child or children. ENVISAGE was co-created by Australian and Canadian researchers, clinicians, and most importantly, parents of children with developmental concerns and disabilities. So why did we even need ENVISAGE Families in the first place? In research, we have a problem called the knowledge translation gap, and this means it can take up to 2 decades for research to be translated into real-world clinical practice. So, despite significant advances in childhood disability, traditional thinking still dominates and outdated assumptions and myths continue. And these assumptions include the belief that the problem lies with the child or with the person with a disability, the implicit, if not direct, expectation to focus everything on fixing the problem, and finally, that it's most important to promote typical functioning and for children to do things normally. All of these assumptions and ways of thinking keep us focused on things that are seen as negatives, which can stop us looking at and building on all of the positives. The literature also consistently tells us that raising a child with a disability poses complex parenting challenges that complicate the parenting experience, as Colleen has highlighted from her own experience. These complex challenges and additional parenting demands are also often accompanied by increased stress, sorrow, grief, increased financial burden, and strained relationships. And all of these factors can contribute to significant physical and psychological health problems for parents and caregivers. There's no doubt that parenting a child with disabilities, including cerebral palsy, comes with complexities, but far too often the source of parents' additional stresses and challenges are imposed by the attitudes and attributes of our society, which can pay little attention at times to parents' voices and well-being. So to address this, we needed to change the way people feel, think, and talk about child development and disability early on in their experience. So we created ENVISAGE. So what are the aims of ENVISAGE Families? We hope that through participating in the program, parents and caregivers will feel more confident and competent in their parenting decisions. increase their confidence and skills in communication with service providers and other people in their world and their child's world, be able to make choices informed by contemporary evidence-informed ideas, and connect with other caregivers to improve parent and family outcomes. So just as each child is unique, so are our experiences as parents. What one person gains from ENVISAGE might be different from another, but the core message is that parents are the most important people in children's lives, and their health and well-being are critical for family thriving. The ENVISAGE Families program consists of 5 workshops covering these themes. The themes that are covered in workshop 1 is what is health and wellbeing in early child and family development. And so this focuses on how we think and talk about health and wellbeing of children and families in a strengths-based holistic way. And we use frameworks including the F words in child development to guide the reflection and discussion. Workshop 2 looks at child and family development as a process of being, becoming and belonging, looking at the here and now and into the future. Workshop 3 is parenting as a dance led by the child and focuses on the reciprocal relationships between a parent and their child or children and the nature of the different types of dances that this can be. And we often hear that workshop 3 is a real turning point in the program, where parents often start to think differently about themselves, their child and their family, and see themselves as a parent and expert on their child. Workshop 4 is looking after myself, and it looks at small steps to supporting wellbeing, so parents can be emotionally and physically present to attend and respond to their child, which we know is important to their development. And lastly, workshop 5, communicating, collaborating and connecting, brings together key information, resources and ideas around communicating and collaborating with people in their world, including family, friends and healthcare professionals.
So through the program, I learned coping strategies, stress management techniques as well. I realised why I often felt at breaking point. I wasn't releasing the stress I was accumulating. ENVISAGE taught me how to communicate our story using the F words that focused on my child rather than her disability. Did you notice that I introduced my daughter at the start of the webinar using the F words rather than rattling off her diagnosis or her medical history? I talk about we as a family, what she enjoys to do, how she does things and what she aspires to be, and the things that make her a unique, amazing, caring, funny little girl. The F words represent elements that are important to the development of all children, including children with diagnoses such as cerebral palsy. The words are function, family, fitness, fun, friends and future, which maps nicely to the ICF framework for all those here today who are familiar with that model, which is health condition, body function, structures, activities, participation, environmental factors and personal factors. So it's just a really nice way to communicate with service providers. But most importantly, I learned that family connection and happiness are more important than constant therapy, a concept that initially made many therapists uneasy. Our role, for me, service providers, their role is to collaborate and support, and they're here to support us, the parents and caregivers. A pivotal moment came for me during a consultation with a doctor who truly provided my family with family-centred care. He listened to our struggles with my daughter and her AFO. Unlike the 5 other therapists who insisted she must wear it all the time, my daughter had grown afraid of my touch, thinking every cuddle was to restrain her to fit her AFO. His advice was to prioritise the bond between my daughter and me over strict adherence of wearing her AFO. It validated everything I had learnt from ENVISAGE about the importance of family time and connection, and for the first time, someone was practicing what I believed in. ENVISAGE empowered me to trust my instincts and recognise that I am the expert on my child. My voice and our family values as important as any professionals. This empowerment helped me feel more confident in control of our path going forward. Another valuable aspect of Envisage was connecting with other parents whose children were at different stages. Listening to their stories helped me prepare for future challenges. Envisage wasn't just helpful now in the present, it equipped me with insights for the future, like here in this photo on her first day of school and preparing for that school transition. Mapping out our support network was another powerful exercise in Envisage. I had been struggling with isolation and my relationship with my family and friends, expecting more support than they were willing to give. The activity helped me adjust my expectations and improve my relationships by understanding where they fit in my support network.
So, as we mentioned previously, the aim of Envisage is really about empowerment of parents and caregivers to feel confident and confident. The ENVISAGE Families program is part of a broader program of research that's made up of 4 programs that we can see here. In addition to ENVISAGE Families, the other programs include ENVISAGE First Peoples, which is a culturally safe and appropriate translation of the ENVISAGE Families program for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander parents and caregivers. ENVISAGE International involved translation of the ENVISAGE Families program for Croatian parents and caregivers, and more recently, ENVISAGE Service Providers. ENVISAGE Service Providers was developed and is currently undergoing evaluation after families told us that while they valued and got so much out of the ENVISAGE Families program, their experience in the real world was still challenging at times. And this was something Colleen reflected on from her own experience. They wanted a program specifically for service providers, so families and their service providers and other professionals could all be working in partnership towards the same goals and were all speaking the same language, a language that was strengths-based and future-focused. And for myself, as a service provider, this is very much what drew me to the ENVISAGE program several years ago when I saw it advertised. And as Colleen mentioned, really it just continues to reinforce that our role is to support parents and children in activities and things that are meaningful for them. So with the ENVISAGE program, each program is developed and evaluated over 5 phases, which are shown here. They're all developed using what's called an integrated knowledge translation approach, which means caregivers and service providers come together. So caregivers and service providers across Australia and Canada were involved in the co-design, development, and implementation of each of the phases above. And just from this slide, the one phase that I want to draw your attention to is the first phase, which is arguably the most important. And it involves developing partnerships in broad consultation. So this was done via online forums across Canada and Australia, where parents talked about their experiences in the early years around diagnosis, what information they wished that they could have accessed at that point in time, and what they wish they knew then that they know now. So the workshops were developed based on the information gathered in phase 1. And now we're in phase 5, where we have upscaled ENVISAGE to deliver it across Australia.
So since January 2023, ENVISAGE has been available across Australia, funded by the Department of Social Services. It is open to all families and caregivers at no cost. Eligibility is that parents or caregivers are raising a child aged 0 to 8 years old with developmental delay or disability, and they also must reside in Australia. There is no need for an NDIS plan or a formal diagnosis to participate. ENVISAGE is unique. We are proud to walk our talk. What I mean by that is that we do everything in partnership with parents. Every workshop is delivered in partnership with a service provider professional who is working in the industry, but most importantly, a parent with lived experience of raising a child also with a disability or developmental concern. This provides a genuine and immediate sense of authentic compassion. ENVISAGE facilitators have undergone extensive training in the program and participate in ongoing professional development through a community of practice. Usually the program is run in small groups of 4 to 10 people, and due to the nature of the intimate and vulnerable conversations, the group stays together for the entire program. Sessions usually run for 90 minutes each over the 5 consecutive weeks, but we also do offer intensive models as well. There is an online learning hub with a wealth of resources and readings and recommendations that you can access for the next 12 months after signing up for the program. We want to ensure that you can attend an ENVISAGE program at a time that suits you and your family best. We offer a variety of options across all states and territories, including face-to-face and online options, including morning, afternoon, evenings, and we even offer some programs over the weekends. The ENVISAGE program is funded until June 2025, with all of the upcoming programs advertised on the ENVISAGE website. You can use this QR code on the screen to visit our website, https://envisage.community, to register for a program at our Find a Program page. You can use the filters at the top of the screen to pick a program that's in your state or a time that suits you. But when you're registering for a program, you have the choice of completing your full registration online or having one of our friendly parent peers contact you to help you register in the program over the telephone. As part of our research, the phase 5 that Kerry just mentioned is we're also going to be running a randomized controlled trial as well. So we'll be offering all programs, but also offering those who would like to participate in our RCT research. We have partnered with 25 services across Australia, plus we have a few more coming soon, who are going to help us deliver this program with all, as I mentioned earlier, all the registrations are managed by the national team. This means that you can join a program online in Australia at a time and day convenient for you, or you can attend in person at a local program. You do not need to be a client of one of our partners. The program is open for everybody. You can attend, if you're in Victoria, you can attend one in South Australia if it's based online. So it's open to everybody.
So in terms of the evaluation, we know that ENVISAGE works. The ENVISAGE program was evaluated as a research program initially, and we're also evaluating it as it's rolled out across Australia. So families have told us that ENVISAGE provides them with a time and space for reflection, tools and strategies for decision making, and an opportunity to connect and collaborate with other caregivers with a shared experience of raising a child with developmental concerns. So far, families have told us that some of the things they have learned from ENVISAGE are that it's okay to have a break from therapy. They've learned to advocate for their child's needs and that family values are important. They've also learned that there are other families out there in the same situation and there are supports available. With one parent commenting that there is a wider range of community supports that I was not aware of. They will also do things differently following their participation in ENVISAGE, and some of these things include they'll think about what therapy my child needs, that they're better equipped to have honest discussions with service providers, they'll focus more on their own well-being and engage with more programs. We also want to hear about their experience with ENVISAGE so we can continue to improve the program. Things that we've heard that went well include access to readings as well as live sessions, the connections between caregivers, the excellent facilitators who facilitated at the right pace and with the right amount of content. And things we can improve on are some of the transitions between videos and slides, and also look at how we can include family members, including grandparents and aunties, etc. One of the comments about the session was that the facilitators ran the sessions with compassion. They always made time for everyone to express their view or concerns and really understood the different angles we were coming from. So I think that really speaks to the training that the facilitators undergo. And as Colleen mentioned, having that compassion and that lived experience is so important.
So to wrap up, on behalf of the ENVISAGE Families teams, we'd like to thank you for your time to find out more about the ENVISAGE program. But just as our children are unique, so are our experiences as parents. What one parent gains from ENVISAGE might be different to the other. But as Kerry said earlier, our core message is that parents are the most important people in children's lives, and their health and well-being are critical for family thriving. I sure didn't think in 2018 when I did the program that I'd be here today talking to you about how valuable this program is. So after sharing my personal story about Harper and my journey with ENVISAGE and the impact it had on my family, I hope you're inspired to be empowered as well. This final quote that I want to share today is from a participant in our program, which really encompasses the essence of the program. The program was life-changing for this parent who is now actually trained to be a parent peer facilitator, and she delivers the program as well. So her quote is, "Doing the ENVISAGE program was like coming up for air after being underwater for a long time." For years, I had been submerged in the diagnosis and therapies of my children and my fear for their futures, but ENVISAGE was such a positive experience for me, encouraging me to reframe my perspective and examine my values as a parent by focusing on my children's strengths instead of their challenges.
So we'll leave you with this slide here with all the ways that you can contact us at ENVISAGE, and we are very happy to keep the conversation going. So thank you.
Thanks, Kerry and Colleen. That was really fantastic. I'll just give attendees a couple of quick moments to submit any questions in that Q&A area if there is anything you'd like to ask our presenters today. And I'll just take a moment to remark that it's really fantastic to see a program like this that's giving parents more meaningful guidance about the journey that they're taking. And in a way, that concept connects to the mission of My CP Guide as well. So if you're not directly familiar with My CP Guide, it's a free to use website, and effectively it is an information hub all about cerebral palsy. So parents of children with cerebral palsy or people with cerebral palsy themselves or supporters or any medical professionals or anyone else who works with people with cerebral palsy, they can use My CP Guide as something to dig deeper into different topics relating to the condition and have more robust knowledge to be empowered for their decision making in their day-to-day needs and their supports and also their long-term goals in life. So at this stage, it looks that we don't have any questions coming in from attendees. So I'll just say thank you again to Colleen and Kerry. Please feel free to reach out to them at that slide they had at the end of their presentation there. The recording of this webinar will be posted in the days to come on My CP Guide. So if you would like to recap or share this presentation on, you can do it from there. So thank you very much, everyone, and I'll close the webinar there.
Thank you.
Thank you.